What up, everybody? Today I'm going to be showing you how I learned how to draw with only $28 spent at Hobby Lobby. Well spent at Hobby Lobby. It's probably one of my favorite places to be at. I'm going to be listing all the supplies and materials that I bought from Hobby Lobby and how I use my drawing techniques to apply it to tattooing and how I improved my portraits. Up first, we got our tan Recycled Sketchbook. This is a sketchbook that has a similar complexion to fake skin when you're practicing how to tattoo. Everything I teach you here in this drawing module is going to be resembled to tattooing in some form of aspect. So I got tan because to me it looks like the fake skin and it allows me to practice and make errors. Up next, we have our pencil set. I got this from Hobby Lobby. This is called the Master's Touch Fine Art Studio. And in the back, they have a bunch of different grayscales. So this relates to tattooing. Like when I go to set up my gray set, I have my 20%, I have my 40%, my 60%, my 80%, and my true 100 black. And these grayscales allow you to have the same thing. So you can start from light, like a 2H, or you can go a little bit darker than that, which is an H. Then you got HB, you got a B, you got a 28, a 3B, a 4-8, a 5B, a 6B, 8B, 10B, and a 12B being true black. I'm going to show you guys how I use all of them during my sketch. We got our pencil sharpener. Obviously, if your pencil is running out, sharpen it up, get back in it. Up next, we got our blending stumps. These are going to act as your wide mags. I'm going to get deeper into this and how I use them, but these are going to act as like my 23, my 27, or if a bigger mag. These are going to allow me to blend and saturate properly. Then we have our soft pastels. These pastels are going to be used on the back of our design. That's going to allow us to create a stencil the same way that we would doing a tattoo. Now, if you want to be fancy with it, you can always add white highlights. I usually do at the end of my tattoos. I didn't buy this at Hobby Lobby the last time around because I had a few of them laying around here. It's not really important in your drawing module, but it would be kind of cool to make it stand out a bit more, especially if you're trying to present it to somebody or, you know, publicly show it on Instagram or social media. So if you want to, get yourself a jelly roll pen. It's a white gel pen. It's going to allow you to put white highlights on there wherever you guys want to go to. I'm not sure I'm going to use it in this case, but I might. Stay tuned to see it. Last but not least, we have the design. In honor of Halloween coming up, and one of my favorite holidays other than Thanksgiving, I'm going to present to you the drawing that we'll be doing today, the one and only, the Terrifier! This is one of my favorite Halloween characters, man. Like, real deal. I've been dying to tattoo this. Nobody has gotten it yet, though. I don't know why, man. He's such a beautiful dude. I think it would be a great design to tattoo and an even cooler one to show you guys how to draw it and how to approach it and the ways that I would do it using this drawing module. I'm excited to show you guys. So with that being said, let's get started. All right. So to begin this tattoo and to begin this drawing, the first thing I would need to do is create a stencil. The reason why I'm creating a stencil with this is, for one, muscle memory. Two, we're doing a portrait. I don't want to guess on what I'm doing. I don't want to make up anything I'm doing. We want it to be the art, the clown. So to do that, we have to replicate what this image is and do exactly as we see it. We don't want to guess. We don't want to make up no lines. We don't want to make any type of shading like on our own. This is all stuff that we're going to see so that it can look exactly like this picture. If somebody wanted their grandpa tattooed on them or a drawing of their grandpa, you're not going to go and just draw it off the top of the head because it might not look nothing like the grandpa. So in this case, I really wanted to look like the Terrifier. I love Art the Clown, and I want it to look exactly like him. So I'm going to create this stencil. And the first step that I do is I use my dark black pastel. It has a darker background. It's super black. So I'm going to start with my dark black pastel to create my stencil as it would on a stencil sheet. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over. And I'm going to grab my pastel and I'm going to create my stencil right on the back of the design. Now this does get messy. You'll probably need a brush. If not, you can blow it off and just kind of wipe it. You don't want to wipe off too much though. You want to keep your stencil, and you don't want to overdo the stencil either, because you don't want to have a hard black lines in your paper. Make sure it's all even and placed everywhere where you got to do your stencil. That seems about good to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab it, blow on it. Now we got plenty of sheets, so I just take this. If it's too much, if you're getting fingerprints all over it, like I said, be careful. It gets really messy. I'm going to turn this one over. I don't need this sheet. I'm going to go here. I want a fresh, clean sheet. And I'm going to grab my stencil. I'm going to place it gently in the position that I want it to. And I'm going to use paper tape to tape down the design. That way I'm not tearing apart my paper when I go to take it off and begin the drawing. Alright, now that we're here ready to begin the stencil, the first thing we're going to use to stencil this, like I do my regular hand stencils on stencil sheets, I'm going to use a mechanical pencil. This is going to act like a 3-round liner, and it's also going to allow me to create nice fine stenciling without going in too hard or damaging the paper. So to begin with the first section, we're going to start with the costume. Let's get a nice little zoom in. When beginning my stencils and when beginning my tattoos, the orders that I like to approach them is attacking my lines, my fillers, my shading, my saturations, my details, and then hitting my whites if I really wanted to jump. So to begin, I'm going to start with outlining his costume. And this is a hard black filler, so I'm gonna use this line to kind of represent that. When I start shading it, it's gonna blend in a lot more. There. Right now, I'm just trying to outline where all my hard black is on this bottom part of his costume. This is gonna allow us to separate our hard black from our gray wash. Now that I'm going to start working on the areas that have shading and saturations, the first thing I'm going to do is focus on my light grays. So for me, let me outline this outside real quick. So for me, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start marking off where all my light grays are. And by doing that, I'm just going to hit slight little dashes. You can also outline it with the light line as well if you want to. You can come in here, outline that, outline that. You can come in and there's a little white sector up here. I'm gonna start down here. I'm gonna come in and I see a little white area here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a little outline around it. And I'm gonna follow where I feel like my light shading is. This is where my light shading is. And I'm gonna go ahead and dash where my medium tones are. Same thing on this end. I'm gonna outline it because it's light in here. These are mediums. Don't make these dashes too hard on your paper. They're gonna be hard to blend. You just want to do it nice and light. Same thing here. It's a darker area as well as over here. Now this is a lot darker. This area is darker, so I'm gonna come in with some darker tones, but for now I'm just gonna outline it, and I'll be able to have my stencil reference with me to know exactly what I marked up. This is why I like stenciling, because you can have muscle memory and also start studying your image while you're tattooing it, or whether you're drawing it, painting it. It's good to have a good reference with you, and a good stencil just allows you to move more efficiently and gives you a better recollective of memory. You never want to guess on portraits. That's a no-go. Portraits are supposed to be looking exactly how they came, or very much similar to it. Depending on your style, you can make semi-realism portraits, or you can make realism portraits. In further courses, I'll teach you the differences between the two. And right now, I'm just making a soft outline for all my light shading, all my lighter areas that have to be sectioned off. And questioning, like, why is this shaded right here? You know, like, always ask yourself these questions. Why is the flow of this costume being shaded this way? And that's because it has wrinkles. It's crinkling up. His right shoulder is up higher than his left. These are all questions we got to ask ourselves. You don't want to overdo your stencil. You want to be able to see your guidance and to be able to shade it with your reference and not so much with your stencil. In this drawing module, we're not going to be using erasers. You can't erase a tattoo, so you're not going to be able to erase this drawing. So if you have an eraser at your station, go ahead and throw it out now. You don't need it. Moving on to his neck. And I'm going to draw a little slight line right here, because that's going to be light shading. And this is also what's separating his chin from his neck. Remember not to press too hard. You have a hard black under there. But I'm shading these areas. Notice how I didn't make a complete line. I'm just shading where it's darker and where the grays are really popping out, because he doesn't have a hard straight line. This is not a hard black line. You don't want to do that. You want to be able to just outline what needs to be outlined and making sure that you're hitting it with the tone it needs to be hit. Same thing with tattooing. And if I create outlines, it's going to be with my very light shading. Over here, I can make a hard line because it's black. Stop it right there. Same thing back here. I'm going to go ahead and start outlining the back over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start doing my shading where I see it's darker on this side. So what I'm going to do is give it little dashes. Now this is the same way I stencil my tattoos as well. And just like I tell my apprentices, it gives you muscle memory. It allows you to study your image a little bit more. Although Procreate, you can zoom in a lot further. Nothing against Procreate. I still use it till today. But I like to use Procreate for the designing process. And then I like to hand stencil my design. If you have to stencil a piece of your design through Procreate because you have to zoom in a lot, then you probably shouldn't be tattooing that part on the body anyways, because if you have to zoom in to stencil it, you're not going to be able to zoom in to be able to tattoo it. I'm just getting these slight details in here. Now the noses can be tricky, so we got to be very careful and pay attention. There's no hard solid line out here, just a difference between tones. So in here, I'm gonna just outline to where I know the nose will be. Same thing on this side. And then in here is all shading. That's all shading, all shading. This I'm gonna outline, but I'm not gonna outline it when I go to draw it. I'm gonna actually shade it. Shade it on this end too. And I'm gonna give this an outline, but it's gonna be a gray wash outline. Same thing on this side. And this is shading. Shading in there as well. Now, if you can see in his mouth, it's very black, but it does have some areas where there's lighter gray, so you got to be able to pay attention to that. Always keep your iPad reference with you so you can zoom in a little bit further. And I'm gonna outline it there. Some white in there. So if we zooming in, see his mouth. We're gonna try to fit in all that detail as much as possible. Go ahead, and the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go where all the hard blacks is. Now, a lot of misconceptions that people do is they go and put teeth and they put lines all the way through them and they make hard black lines. Nobody has hard black lines in their teeth. Their teeth are white or their teeth are yellow, and what we need to do is create those shadows that are going to allow us to shape out the teeth and just really outlining what's black. Of course, in his mouth, he has a lot of blood. Now, this piece is going to use a lot of black. So just be mindful of that. If you're like, hey, where's my stencil? Or I'm kind of lost. Why is it so dark in this area? Mimic it. If it's dark there, it's dark there. I like the way it looks right here. So why am I going to change that? I want it to still be dark. I want it to still look dark. I like that dark look and aesthetic of it. Gives it that creepy feel. The black and grays are really going to do it to this. Also, if you're using a mechanical pencil and your pencil snaps on you, in tattoo terms, that would mean you're going way too deep in the skin. So let off that pencil and create a nice light vibe. Remember, you don't want to go too hard onto this stencil because you have a hard black pastel behind there. You want to be able to blend those later. So keep that in mind. Now this is fabric, so it's not going to be a hard line. There's going to be some space, as you can see in the shading. So as you can see in the shading, there's gonna be some fabric. And it's not gonna be hard black. It's gonna be like a light gray. Don't be afraid to move your stencil around too. This is not a tattoo. You don't have to stay in one spot the whole time. Feel free to move it around. Alright, well now that we finished the stencil, we'll zoom out. And we're gonna gently remove the tape so we can see what our stencil looks like. Try not to rip your paper. Alright, we're gonna gently remove our stencil and see what it looks like. And there you have it. This is what our stencil will look like. So excited to dive into it. Stay tuned for the final product. So before beginning to draw this piece, I want to show you guys the set of pencils that I'm going to be using and how I relate them to tattooing. As you can see, I got my gray wash here. So these are all different pencils that are going to act as different tones during my gray wash process. I'm going to take this drawing out the way, and I'm going to have my apprentice Kay come help me out. And she's gonna show you guys how we set up our 20, our 40, our 60, and 80%, and the way we're gonna be using it for the pencils. So to give you guys a good idea of what that looks like, I got my HB being my 20%, and then I have my 3B being my 40%, my 6B being my 60%, my 10B is going to be my 80%, which is right here. It's a shade lighter than my darkest, which is my truest black, which in pencil form is going to be the 12B. And that is how I'm going to align my pencil sets. Now, I do like to do saturations, especially when doing portraits, and in that time I like to go with a blend. So normally I get my 2H, which is my lightest tone, and I'm able to blend everything nice and easy if I'm not using the blending stumps. All right, so first things first, we're gonna work on this costume down at the bottom, same way we started with the stencil. First thing I like to do is I like to work towards the bottom and work my way up when I'm doing the tattoo and when I'm doing the drawing, so that my hand isn't in the way and rubbing off on any of my stencil that I have here, whether it's on fake skin, human skin, or even my drawing. To begin this black area of his costume, I have two shades in there. I got my 10B and my 12B. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my 10B, which is my lighter tone. And I'm going to start shading it out. Doing soft circles. This is a pencil, so you want to start creating that flatter area on your pencil to make it act like a mag. Just make sure you're staying even. Now I'm gonna jump into my 12B, my true black. I'm gonna come back in and start blending my way into what I already did. Now you can see the difference in tones. I know some of you are probably thinking, well, why can't you use the 10B and press a little harder and make it darker? It's because it's still not that true black tone. I mean, you can pack it and overlay it a bunch of times to where it looks really dark, but what you really want to do is just change the tones and give it that smoother look, a better effect. So now I'm gonna start working these lighter grays and my medium tones. First thing I'm gonna do is jump to my HB. And at my HB, I'm gonna start shading in all the areas that I had outlined. So now I'll go back in with my 3B tones. I like to always just add a little flatness to my pencil before starting. Alright, so now I want to do some saturation, so I'm going to come back in with my 2H. I'm going to blend all this in together. Now I'm going to take my blending stumps, blend them in a little bit better. So now I'm gonna come back with my 3B. Back at it with the 3B. Go back into our 6B. And first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work the mouth a little bit. I'm gonna start with the outsides and I'm gonna give it this first layer of the 60% right here. Remember, his mouth is like super dark in this area. He got a lot of blood flowing from it. He also has makeup. So keep that 60% dark right here. Then we're gonna go in some darker tones to blend it out and give his mouth a bit more dynamic. Now if you look in these areas right here, that's where my 60% is going. And here I'm gonna use 2H and I'm gonna go a lot lighter. And as I go dark on the outside, I'm gonna start blending them in and make these areas give it more dimension. Same thing with up here. So right now I'm just focusing on the areas that have that 60% shading. Just in here. taking your time when you're doing these drawings. It's the same thing with tattooing. Like, you don't want to like go crazy shading, trying to speed up time. Like, take your time. Really make sure that you're moving in the right directions, going with the right flows of the shape of the mouth, the eyes. Never want to rush that. Now I'm gonna go into my 2H again, go into my light tones. 2H. And I'm gonna start hitting those areas I was talking about, like right here. Giving it a really light tone and blending it with where your 60 was. You don't want there to be too much of a separation because it's not trying to make lines. It's like, it's the shape of the mouth. You want to have it flowing and look uniform. Same thing on this side. I'm doing this light tone in here, but I'm gonna come back with the darker tones and blend it in so it has like a better shape. But I'm still gonna add that light tone because in some areas there is light tones in here. Same thing on this side. For apprentices who are drawing this before starting the tattoo, this is that time where you can make your mistakes. Although you're not using an eraser in this drawing module, this is your time to make mistakes and to see where you can do better the next time. Maybe do another drawing before deciding to put it on somebody's skin. But these are the areas where you can ask yourself questions like, why is this shading going in this area? What's making this darker than the other side? And it can be from the angles of the lighting. It can be because of, you know, maybe whether if it's a flower, it could be like a petal overlapping another one. So when you're doing these drawings, like, these are the times where you get to ask yourself a lot of questions. It's the same thing when you're stenciling. That's the moment where you're asking yourself, like, really studying your reference and what you're going to be getting into. So when you go in, it's just pure muscle memory. So I'm still here with my 2H. One of the first things I want to do is I want to continue to shade in the teeth a bit to where they're supposed to be. So like in this area right here, we got some light shading. Now the fun part. I'm gonna go in with my darker tones. I'm gonna go in with my, let's start off with my 10B. I'm gonna start with my 10B on the mouth. And I'm gonna start darkening everything up. Start separating the mouth. In moments like these, when I'm doing the drawing and the music sound right, I get in my thoughts, man. And it's something I want to share with y'all, man. Like, being an artist is not the easiest thing in the world, man. We rely on ourselves completely. And, and people are always like, man, like, what really motivates you? Some people have troubles getting up in the morning, and it's just like, man, if you understood what it takes every day to have faith in myself and be able to, make something out of myself during this whole process of becoming an artist, and having people believe in your work as much as you can believe in yourself, like, it's a beautiful thing, man. So moments like these where I just, I sit down and think, and I'm just like, man, I'm so grateful that I have the ability to chase my dreams every day. When I'm drawing, I'm not just studying the piece, I'm studying myself too, man. I'm feeling how I feel, like, am I feeling impatient? Am I feeling fatigue? Are my hands getting tired? Is my eyes getting tired? These are things you gotta ask yourself and be honest with yourself, especially when you're tattooing. I'm gonna jump into my 3B, my 40%, and I'm gonna fill in the mouth area. I'm gonna jump into my 60. Come back and hit some darker tones. Start separating the teeth from the tongue. I'm adding these outlines to separate a bit. Remember, if I did these lines with tattooing, I would have done the lines in the tone that I'm shading in, not a hard black. Keep that in mind. You want it to look natural. If you add a hard black line, it's gonna look too much of a separation. All right, now I'm gonna go into my true black, my 100%, which will be my 12B. I'm gonna go in and start filling everything in dark. I'm gonna go back in with a 2H, and I'm gonna fill these areas in. Take my 3B and I'm gonna start shading in this area. Then I'm gonna go on with my 6B. I'm gonna hit this shading over here. The longer you can spend on a drawing or a tattoo, the more efficient it's gonna look. Keep that in mind. You never want to rush anything. You don't want to overwork the skin and try to make it all happen in one day. It's always best to go back at it, let the tones heal up, see what the true tones are. And you can jump back in there with some true tones. Since I'm here with my 6B, So before adding saturations over here, I'm gonna jump in with my 3B, and I'm gonna start working on the eyeballs. And I'm going for this darker tone. So now I'm gonna dive into my darker tones so I can hit the outside of the eyes. look at it, and I always ask myself with a fresh eye if there's anything else I want to do to it. And for me, I want to add a bit more contrast in certain areas. So I'm gonna take my 10B. This is why a second session for portraits and tattoos is so important. You want to let the true tones set in, let it heal, then take some time to go back in a month or two and take a look at what it looks like. See if you can add any depth, add any contrast to it. And if you made it this far on the video, I want to say thank you and I appreciate you highly. I hope that I provided enough value for you today. If you got any questions that you feel I missed or didn't answer, feel free to comment, message me, and we can go over whatever you like.